In March, the Chicago Sun-Times laid off 20% of its newsroom. Just 2 months later, it published a summer reading list that recommended completely fabricated books attributed to real authors, such as Taylor Jenkins Reid. Was it satire? Nope. Just an unchecked AI hallucination published live without a single human asking, wait, should we? Or, I don't know, checking to see if the books it recommended actually exist, perhaps? This is the crossroads at which PR now finds itself. AI has the power to help us move faster, scale smarter, and free up time for strategy, but under reduced budgets, financial pressure, and/or tighter deadlines, all of the above, it's tempting to hand over the wheel entirely to let the bot drive the content, the pitch, the post, and the news release. But that is where things go sideways. We've entered a new era of automation overload, mass-produced PR pitches, templated thought leadership. Has anyone been on LinkedIn lately? Oy vey. And generic content that erodes the very trust and credibility our industry is built on. So where's the line between helpful automation and dangerous delegation? On this week's SpinSucks podcast episode, we'll draw that line before your next becomes the negative story in the Wall Street Journal. Welcome back to the SpinSucks podcast. I'm Gini Dietrich. On one side, AI promises everything we've ever wanted. Well, almost everything. It still doesn't do my laundry or dishes, but it does do efficiency, scale, instant drafts, endless headlines, even pitch-ready media lists. It's like having a tireless junior associate who never sleeps and never takes time off, except for those times when it times out and makes you wait a couple of hours before you can prompt it again. I always yell, if I wanted to give breaks, I'd hire a human. Alas. But on the other side, that same tireless associate doesn't understand nuance, tone, timing, or relationships. And if left unsupervised, it's going to start sending mass pitches about your B2B SaaS platform to the beauty editor at InStyle. Unfortunately, this is exactly what is happening across the industry. AI is helping communicators crank out content at breakneck speed, but much of it is, well, garbage. Thoughtless, templated, off-brand, or just flat out wrong. The Wall Street Journal recently noted that PR pros are flooding inboxes with generic AI-generated outreach, leaving journalists frustrated, skeptical, and increasingly unreachable. And we're not helping our reputations. We're actually hurting them. The problem isn't the tool. It's how we're using it, or more accurately, how we're misusing it. Every time someone says to me, AI doesn't work, or AI is not doing what I want, or I'm not getting the output I want, I respond with user error, which is probably not a very nice response on my part, but you do have to know how to use it appropriately for it to work properly. So how do we keep AI in its lane? By understanding what it's actually good at and where it absolutely under no circumstances should be left alone. Let's start by mapping that out. Let's give AI a little credit. It is pretty cool. And when used correctly, it's incredibly helpful, especially for the parts of our jobs that are repetitive, time-consuming, or, let's be honest, a little soul-sucking. Think of it as the world's most eager assistant. It will never say no, but it will absolutely hand in a first draft at 4 p.m. on a Friday and confidently pretend it didn't just make up 3 sources and quote a non-existent Gartner report. So here's what you can let AI help with safely, smartly, and with the right oversight. Content drafting. Use it to draft the initial versions of news releases, blog posts, case studies, landing pages, email sequences, even podcast scripts. Emphasis on the first pass. You're still the final word. Transcription and summarization. Interviews, webinars, meetings, let the bots do the typing, and then you can skim instead of sifting through the whole thing. Headline and subject line variations. Need 15 ways to say, read this? AI has you covered. Just don't let it name your campaign, Unlock Synergy for Future Innovation. It loves the corporate jargon. Background research, use it to gather company bios, product descriptions, or industry context for a briefing doc. You still need to verify it, of course, but it will save you hours. Media monitoring and sentiment tracking. AI tools can scan for mentions, surface trends, and even attempt to detect tone. Human interpretation is still required, of course, but it will do the heavy lifting. Data analysis, trend surfing, and a little light fortune telling. Need to understand how a campaign performed across channels? AI can help spot patterns and predict the future. But again, you have to connect the dots. And the last thing it can do is be your translation assistant. So for global campaigns, it can provide initial translations or help localize messaging. But please, 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 for the love of Thor, have a native speaker review it before it goes live. Always. Never, ever, ever publish it without a native speaker reviewing it, ever. AI sweet spot is efficiency, not execution. It makes things faster, but not necessarily smarter. That's still your job. There's a line, and it's bright, it's neon bright, it might even be outlined in glitter, because while AI is great at grunt work, it's terrible at judgment. And in PR, judgment is everything. So here's what you should never, ever, ever, under any circumstance, let AI run without a human in charge. Crisis communications, timing, tone, empathy, context, all critical, all human. The last thing you want is a bot drafting your apology post, or worse, your holding statement when everything's on fire. Actually, even when it's not on fire, don't have it do that. You should not have it do executive thought leadership. Did I mention how bad some LinkedIn posts are right now? And the comments. Your CEO does not sound like ChatGPT, nor should they. These pieces require authenticity. They require perspective. They require nuance, not generic LinkedIn wisdom and metaphors about climbing mountains, unless they actually climb mountains. It should not do reporter pitches and media relationships. I cannot emphasize this enough. Relationships are the currency of PR. If a journalist receives a pitch clearly written by a bot, your credibility is toast. And speaking from loads of experience, we can tell when your pitch is written by a bot. There are lots of tools to help you with pitch drafts. Pod Pitch is one of them. But for the love of Thor, please do a little research and edit them before hitting send. Personalize, customize, and then hit send. You should not have it do legal or regulatory communications. Do you like fires? Do you like lawsuits? Do you like consent decrees? Then by all means, let AI hallucinate your compliance language. For everyone else, get legal eyes on it always. It should not do final content approvals. I think you've probably got that. AI can draft, it can suggest, it can organize, but it does not hit publish. That is your job. That is always your job. Even when a junior level associate drafts something, it's your job to oversee the work. AI is a junior level associate. And it doesn't do humor, empathy, and cultural sensitivity. Unless you want your campaign to accidentally offend an entire demographic or make a joke that only makes sense in 2008 meme culture, leave the delicate stuff to the humans. In short, if it touches your brand voice, your reputation, or your relationships, it requires a human brain behind it. When we skip that human layer, when we treat AI like a strategy instead of a tool, we don't just risk mistakes, we risk losing trust, credibility, and access to opportunities. And the consequences aren't theoretical, they're happening right now. According to the aforementioned Wall Street Journal article, journalists are being flooded with formulaic AI-generated emails. They're frustrated. They're ignoring their inboxes, and they're starting to block the worst offenders entirely. Journalists and bloggers and podcast hosts and influencers, we can all spot AI from a mile away. Generic greetings, overpolished language, irrelevant pitches. It doesn't take much to recognize that a bot wrote it. And once they do, your name goes straight to the meh pile. And you're lucky if that's where it stays and doesn't get worse. All mistakes can and do go public, whether it's a hallucinated quote, a made-up stat, an inappropriate tone, or an entirely fake book list. AI errors get shared, screenshotted, mocked. If your brand ends up in one of those threads, that's not the kind of reach you want. Never become the story. And when everyone is using the same tools and copying the same prompts from the same hustle bros on LinkedIn, you become, well, forgettable. Without oversight, the output becomes eerily similar, and sameness is the enemy of storytelling. So yes, AI can make your job easier. However, it can also make your brand appear careless, your team appear lazy, and it will erode your credibility overnight. It's not all bad news, though. You know, I love AI. I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So, in just a few minutes, I'll help you shift into solution mode. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Now that we've looked at what not to do, let's shift into solution mode. Let's go through how to build human oversight into your workflows, the signs your content needs a second or third set of eyes, and what good looks like. Let's get something straight. Using AI responsibly doesn't mean slowing down and adding 17 new steps to your process. It just means not skipping the step where a human double checks that the AI didn't accidentally recommend War and Peace for preschoolers. Oversight isn't bureaucracy, it's brand protection. So here's how to build it without breaking your momentum. Train your AI like you would train an intern. Remember, AI is your junior associate. You wouldn't let them publish something without your oversight. You wouldn't let them send pitches without your review. Same goes for your AI. Provide examples, brand voice docs, and prompt libraries. The better your inputs, the smarter your outputs. Always, 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 always review before publishing or sending. This is non-negotiable. Even if it's internal, please review it before you publish it or send it. Every AI-generated draft should get at least a once-over from a human who knows what off looks like. It's not that AI tries to mess up. It's just very confident when it does. Even when you question it, it sometimes doubles down. So check everything. Create a clear AI can and cannot policy. Document what tasks AI is allowed to help with and which ones are strictly human territory. This helps your team move fast without overstepping. And lastly, build feedback loops. If AI makes a mistake, and it will, feed that back into your process. Update your prompts, add examples to your training library, and keep refining. Before anything goes out the door, run through this quick set of questions. Did the AI fabricate a stat source or quote? So always, always, always attribute those. Does it sound like a robot in a blazer? Could it offend or alienate someone? Is the tone aligned with your brand and with your audience? Would you open or respond to this if it hit your inbox? And has it been run through an AI and plagiarism checker? Grammarly has a really nice add-on that allows you to check all your work first. Trust your instincts. If it feels off, it probably is. All right, so we have spent a lot of time discussing what not to do. So I am going to shift gears a little bit more and explore what it looks like when AI is used effectively. It is possible. It doesn't involve trying to pass off a ChatGPT draft as a final deliverable. If I've not already said this 100 times in the last 10 minutes, please don't be that person. So here are a few real-world examples of what smart human-guided AI use can look like in practice. Number one, an AI-assisted pitching that still sounds human. All right, so there's an agency that we work with that used AI to generate base pitches for a product launch and then had the team personalize each one with a relevant hook tied to the reporter's beat. Each one, not mass, each one was customized and personalized. They researched the articles the AI suggested as the prompt, they read them, they developed their point of view, and then they massaged each pitch that the AI wrote to be highly personalized with this information. The hard work was already done by the AI. The person to pitch, their contact information, when they typically respond to emails, recent stories they had written on the topic, and how relevant the pitch is to them. So all the agency had to do was make sure the pitch was personalized. Want to know the result? The pitch prep time decreased by 40%, and response rates reportedly increased by 2.5 times compared to previous campaigns. Great way to use AI. A friend of mine runs a nonprofit organization, and they used AI to analyze thousands of social media comments from a global health awareness campaign. The AI grouped common themes by region, highlighting, for example, that Latin American audiences were concerned about access, while European audiences focused on stigma. The heavy lift, sifting through overwhelming volumes of user-generated content and organizing patterns by geography, was handled by the AI. Human strategists then stepped in to develop messaging that was culturally appropriate and emotionally resonant for each audience segment and by geography as well. The result was a 22% lift in engagement across their key regions compared to the previous year's campaign. The AI spotted what mattered, the humans made sure it landed. And then for a client of ours, they have an internal communications team who was supporting a thought leadership campaign for their CEO. They used AI to compile a comprehensive briefing. It included competitive positioning, recent executive quotes, top performing content formats, and white space opportunities in the market. They then reviewed the output, double checking sources, validating insight quality, and highlighting what aligned with the CEO's strengths. With the AI handling the foundational research and organization, the humans focused on storytelling, voice, and messaging. The result was that a 5-hour research task was completed in less than an hour, freeing up their time for creative development and stakeholder alignment. No hallucinations, no fluff, just fast, focused insight gathering that led the human strategist to shine. When you use AI to scale inputs but keep ownership of outputs, that's where the magic happens. You get speed and substance, you get insight and nuance, and you get consistency and creativity. AI doesn't know your audience like you do. It doesn't understand your CER's particular fixation on nautical metaphors. It can't sense when a pitch feels off or a headline lacks punch. That's your job. AI can absolutely make you faster, but only if you stay in the driver's seat. It can help you scale, but only if you keep a human hand on the tone, the truth, and the trust. Because in PR, relationships are everything. Make sure your AI helps build them, not burn them. If you want to learn more about how to use AI to make you 4 times more productive, at least 4 times, I just made that up. I think it's at least 4 times without adding to the noise. Join us in the SpinSucks community. It's a great place to get advice, brainstorm ideas, and build real relationships with your peers. You can find us at spinsucks.com/spin-sucks-community. That's spinsucks.com/spin-sucks-community. And make sure you follow us on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. We're posting tips, how-tos, cheat sheets, and more every week. I'll see you next week. The peso model is a registered trademark of SpinSucks.